Is it true that manta queens devour their mates after copulation?
Yeah. Well, sort of. They kill them, but they leave the body till their swarm hatches and eats it. The first meal is their father.
Makes one appreciative he wasn't born a mantisaur.
Slimy man like you might fit in just fine.
Captain, we should chat. Graham's got the right idea, but he isn't the right guy to execute it. I don't even think he's motivated by philosophism anymore. I think he's just guilt-ridden.
Let's be frank here. He's an unhinged charlatan.
You're not wrong, but get the hell off your high horse, preacher. This ain't exactly easy for me. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I keep going over and over it in my head, and the only way I see the Iconoclast surviving is we depose him. Yeah. Hell, most of our people listen to me already. I thought so, but now I'm not so sure. Graham's always saying that what will be, that we're all here for a reason. Maybe his was to teach me to lead, and maybe mine is to save the colony where he can't. Sometimes you gotta do what's best for someone, even if they think you're wrong, even if it's painful. When we're in Stellar Bay, they'll come around. Take Stellar Bay, lick our wounds, eventually figure out how the hell we're going to spread the word to the rest of the colony. I'm going to confront him. Can I count on your support? Okay. Deep breaths. This is what's best, Sora. Time to save Monarch.
Captain, you must be back with the access codes to our new ship.
Graham, we need to talk.
We have work to do. This isn't the time for one of our spats. Yes, we are acting. On Stellar Bay. What's this about?
You're running the Iconoclast into the ground, and I don't believe it'll get better after we take Stellar Bay. The troops take orders from me already, and you've brought me as far as you can down the eternal path. It's time to step down.
The troops. Listen to you. This isn't an army. They aren't soldiers. They're believers. Followers. They pick up a gun because you tell them to, not because they want to. And you, Captain, after all you've done for me, for us, you throw behind this mutinous blasphemer? I can and shall. All I've done for my people. And look at where that path has led me. I built this movement from the ground up. I've brought freedom to Monarch, and all these years later, we're still free.
I joined because I believed that you were in it for the Iconoclasts. That you wanted nothing more than to bring freedom to Halcyon. That you were selfless. But I know the truth now, Graham. I know what happened in Amber Heights. You didn't start this movement because you wanted to save us. You wanted to save yourself.
No. I've spent years atoning for my sins. I've studied, meditated, taught. I built the Iconoclasts so that any man could cast away his past for a fresh start.
That's your answer, Graham? You needed a fresh start? After all those innocent lives? I'm sorry. I believed in you once. I did. But it's over. Stand down.
I won't. What happened back then was a mistake, and the colony has moved on. This is my movement. These are my people. If you want to lead them, you'll have to kill me.
Please. Don't make me do this, Graham.
If this is where my path ends, I accept it. But as long as I draw breath, I will not abandon them.
So be it.
Oh, you are in for it now!
Well, Captain, here we are. Killed a lot of people in the name of the Iconoclasts, and it never feels right. But this time, it's especially wrong. You've got the... Void, help me. I'll never remember what that thing is called. The device from the ship. Do you have it? I've thought about it, but I think we're too far gone. Pulling Carlotta's support was crossing a line. You know, Captain, I never thought about that. Maybe he could be taught the eternal truth. Spread the message from within the corporations. All right. If he's willing to talk, I'll give him a chance.
I don't mean to judge, but are you ever sober, Miss Remnorine Wentworth?
Only when I got a job to do, and even that ain't a guarantee.
If the Iconoclasts reach that ship first, there won't be any chance for a peaceful monarch. I don't suppose you've found the targeting module yet. I've sent patrols, but they're running into trouble with the Iconoclasts. They're all mad! And what's more, they left us! I don't see any way for us to work together. Not this again.
Remember what we practiced, sir.
Yes. The words in those reviews were very hurtful, but they do not define me. I am a mantipillar, and my will is my cocoon. I can emerge and become whatever I wish. You too?
He has a point, sir. And it's not all bad.
Supposing you're right, who exactly would you have me work with? The Iconoclasts are not the most compromising sorts. That's an interesting suggestion. I confess I don't know much about her except that she worked for Rizzo.
There ain't a body on this planet that can keep a group patched up like she has. I don't know how she does it.
I'd be willing to consider it, but I need to see her review first. One can't be haphazard about these things. Besides, if you think her skills will complement mine, then we should see what those skills are. Excellent. Her review would be in the Rizzo offices in Cascadia. Bring it to me, and I'll see if she's qualified. Well, because the module controls the weapons systems. Because once we mount them on Stellar Bay's walls, no Marauder or Raptidon will ever be a threat to us again. Stellar Bay will be as secure as any other settlement in Halcyon.
The point is, this weapon system would be a powerful advantage, and we can't risk the Iconoclast getting it.
The board's own Salvage and Recovery Clause 32B would say differently.
And they won't dare challenge us over this. Not after the data you found on their experiments here.
Can you imagine what those maniacs would do with weapons like that? They'd wreak havoc.
And roll back all the progress we've made at reconciling with the rest of Halcyon.
Oh, I've known their ilk long enough. Even if they merely sat on the scraps, the threat of a bunch of anarchists holding a gunship would bring the full wrath of the board down on Monarch. We can't afford that.
Threaten the system's order and you call down the wrath of the universe. Or in this case, the board's. Which in this colony is pretty much the same thing.
Ah, you see our quandary then. Good, because we haven't a moment to lose. That's surprising. The board's equipment is usually in top shape. After all, they have first access to any fresh parts or components.
Agreed. This is mysterious, to say the least.
You think so? I always thought scarcities on Monarch were due to our pariah status.
This is the simple truth. We are all molecular machines. The body is a collection of atoms. The mind is a consequence of chemical reactions. Therefore, our lives are predestined along a path that is only visible in retrospect. Life is fated and unstoppable.
And you're unshut-upable. A vicar, huh? You a true believer, or do you just like the tithes?
Why, that's borderline offensive, Ms. Ramnareem Wentworth. Of course I believe. The tithes are merely a well-earned bonus.
I met another believer once. Pushy type. He thought he'd been left behind for a reason. Thought he'd find some kind of cosmic truth in the wilderness. Got himself infected by a mantis and drowned in a sulfur pool. Some truth.
Can't get more brutally true than survival of the fittest. But don't mistake us all for blind fools. Intellect plays a large part in who stays among the living.
Glad to hear it.
Any luck bringing the Iconoclast to the bargaining table? I don't like the idea that they'll be trying for that module while we delay. Very well. I can't promise anything, but let's see what we have here. Well, it seems like she's actually very qualified.
If it weren't for her, I'd wager the Iconoclast would have died off a while ago.
All right. I'll have Celia organize a meeting in neutral territory, the old OSI church in the ruins. Meet us there, and we'll discuss terms.
Hold on to your hats, children. This ride is about to get ugly.
You'll get used to it. Give it 10 or 15 years.
Hey, thanks for coming.
I wish I'd had more time to prepare a proper analysis on the costs and benefits of your proposed union, but I suppose we'll have to improvise.
Gotta admit, I really thought I was walking into a trap here. I'm ready.
We're here to see that the negotiations go smoothly.
Sanjar, Stellar Bay's got food and walls. And my people need both. If you'll have us, we're willing to share the space.
Do you have any idea what that would cost? Why, drawing up the budget alone is going to take weeks.
Not good enough. I need to move a fair amount of my people into the city. We need shelter, Captain. Suppose some of our healthier folk could offer aid. Some of us need to stay in the city proper, though.
Well, I'll be damned. If you two can work together, maybe there's some hope for this place after all.
Truly, a compromise? I'm not sure I'd ever have heard as much from Graham.
Graham was a murderous fiend, and I'd be shocked if you didn't already know that. His friend? Are you fucking kidding me, Captain? I've been standing with Graham for the better part of a decade, while this paperclip cowboy sat behind his walls.
This feels like one of those times when everyone at headquarters but me is laughing at something, but you two aren't laughing.
Amber Heights, you haulhead. 10 years ago, Graham had all those people killed.
What? That's not possible. Even for him, that's going too far. But that means... I had no idea, I swear. Look, we were both fed up with corporate leadership, but I never guessed he'd do something like that.
I buy it. Sanjar ain't capable of hurting a sprat, even from a distance.
You can't take bureaucrats at their word. You back someone into a corner like this, and they'll say anything to get out of it. Okay. You're right. Sorry. It'll take me a while to get over losing Graham.
You know, I felt the same way years ago, when he first left. There was something magnetic about him that let you ignore the things you didn't want to see. But surely you know what that's like.
Yeah, I do. Okay, if you're willing to house and supply some of us, I'll have our more capable soldiers help out.
As am I. Oh, I can feel my blood pressure lowering already.
Thanks for coming out, Sanjar. Guess I'll see you at Stellar Bay.
We've changed the course of the future, Captain. You helped steer it toward the better.
If you'll excuse me.
Hey.
I'd wager this is the outpost. Rebecca! Anders! Come on out! Nice work! Huh. Rebecca taught me this once. You can jerry-rig these old locks so as they don't open anymore. But we've only ever done that if we're in a real bind. Here, I'll fix it. Hey, take a gan. Oh no. Oh no. What did you do?
Sam, making blood-stained clean again.
They were... That bitch! They were all set to abandon us! What would Clara say, huh? Every day she'd ask if we heard from you. And she'd have forgiven you. The kid had a soul that made the sulfur smell like roses. Ugh. Or to leave your medallions to rot with you, but Clara would want to be buried with her sister. At least I know. Ought to have learned by now that getting one's hopes up tends to open them to being dashed across the stars. I hate to say this, but Clara died thinking her sister was still fighting to get back home. I'm glad. If she were still alive now, it'd break her to know the truth. Yeah, maybe. I'm used to disappointment. She was still so naive as to let it hurt her every time it happened. Only thing left is to take these medallions home, which means figuring out how to bait the Mana Queen out of our old base. The most pissed off I've ever seen a queen was when a foreign species was on her soil. I'd wager the stench of a primal might do the trick. Not unless you happen to be familiar with the ins and outs of Mana-Queen behavioral patterns. I've never had the pleasure of hunting primals, but I hear they're all over Scylla. Let's tear a few apart, shall we? I'm sure they've got pheromones. Everything does.
Can we talk? Things on Monarch have really cooled off. I didn't think MSI and the Iconoclast would ever talk. Outside of shouting four-letter words, I mean. Sure, and fish sticks are really made from Saltuna. Look, I won't knock the work you did. I'm sure they'll have a good cry, look through old photographs, share a pint of premium double chocolate cacao gelato. But sooner or later, things will go back to the way they were. People don't change. Not really. In my experience, it's spread real thin. Anyway, I'd hate to see you get broken up if this thing between them doesn't last. Hey, let's not make this out to be more than it is. Anything else?
Hey boss, got a hypothetical for you? You got a friend, see? Somebody you knew when you were growing up. You were close. Then one day, they up and vanished. 5 years go by, they send you a message out of the aether. What's going through your head? You got the wrong idea, boss. It ain't like that. Guy by the name of Clyde Harlow. He was an old friend of mine. Honestly, he was probably my first and longest friend. I just heard from him. Says he wants to talk to me. Says it's urgent. Clyde's waiting for us on Scylla. What he's doing on an asteroid, I can't begin to imagine. I appreciate this, boss. I know you're going out of your way for me.
That gas is going to make us a fucking mint. 120-some cubic meters of it, at 1,000,000 bits a pop. Take this. You've earned it. When we get buyers lined up, I'm gonna buy a gold toilet to shit in. You're goddamn right. Monarch isn't exactly a walk down the lanes of Byzantium. But here you are with all your limbs attached. Call me impressed, contractor. No one you saw, anyway. Glad to see you're looking out for yourself. You've been keeping busy. I hear you took on some extra work at Fallbrook. Catherine says the factory needs some repairs before it's back to working order, but at least it's under our control. Hey, when you were at the slaughterhouse, those swine didn't give you any strange looks, did they? I knew it. I'm probably getting worked up over nothing. Just try not to think about pigs. You never know, you know? I've got a lot on my mind, but it's nothing that concerns you. At least, not yet. I have another job lined up, assuming you're still interested in work. You're gonna salvage me a space station. Heliospheric Research Station 1084, to be exact. I want it. Cobwebs and all. Interested?
Sounds like a major business expansion. It pays to get in on those early, you know.
This opportunity won't come around again, Captain. Right now, it's only salvage on paper. Systems and comms have gone dark. Poke around if you're curious why. While the board lets 1084 gather dust, you're gonna swoop in and plant Sublight's flag. Perfectly legit, perfectly legal. Not this time. The board tolerates our business up to a point, and selling off a station full of their old gear and terminals crosses that point. But if we were to move in and commandeer the station as a Sublight salvage remote office, that's a different matter. legally gray by comparison. More of a squatter situation. Here, this override bypass should get you into the station's systems where you can plant my flag. And one last thing. When you get there, make sure you aren't followed. We wouldn't want that. Both. Neither. Right now, it's safer if I keep you in the dark. I'm on the heels of something big. Play your cards right and I'll clue you in, but right now, I'm not sure who I can trust. Just be careful. Someone might try and use you to get to me.
Hope you find some good salvage out there. Or if you can't find some, make some. That's a good question. Yes? Yes, that sounds right. I'll make sure to include that in the new employee salvage tutorial. Swell. Has anyone from HR given you the new employee talk? Here goes. Welcome to Sublight, where salvage runs thicker than blood. We're still trying out new slogans. Sublight, because what's your alternative? I'll get that right over to marketing, once I figure out where their office is. Glad to have you on board. We could use the help after what happened to the last contractor. No, I didn't. Oh, that. Just stay on Miss Lilia's good side. Stealing office supplies is a good way to end up as salvage, if you know what I mean. You're gonna have a short career with that attitude. Just do whatever Miss Lilia says and you'll be fine.
We've reached HRS-1084, Captain. It's emitting a very weak docking signal. I almost mislabeled it as normal etheric static.
Please check battery levels before initiating an extended sanitization session.
Captain, a word of caution. Those automechanicals are likely to wake when we power the generator.
Captain, I've been attempting to contact you with urgent news. However, communicational functionality was impaired due to the power outage. A UDL vessel has been tracking our position and just recently docked with the station. They are patching into the station's transmission lines now. I cannot stop.
I've been waiting for this day since we tagged your ship in Cascadia, Captain. So glad we finally have this opportunity. My ship is docked with 1084. There's no escape. You've been poking your nose into restricted locations. This makes my superiors unhappy. I could peel your ship open like a can of forest. But I'm in a sporting mood. Adjutant Akande? Apologies for wasting your time, Captain. I'll order my squad to stand down at once. Whatever business Ms. Akande has at the station, I hope to see it in your report one day. Safe travels.
The UDL gunship is undocking from the station. They appear to be departing into space.
That was rather impressive, Captain. Diplomacy at its finest.
Proximity analysis. External fill sterilization measures employed. Caution. Contact with electrical currents can... for C2, 5, 4, 7. Grade rated contaminants.
Sublight will be well pleased that you've claimed the station for them. Myself, I'll be fine leaving this place. Chartrand. Sounds awfully familiar. That was the scientist from Cascadia, right?
Muting volume now.
Captain, I wish to offer my commendations for convincing the UDL's gunship to leave HRS-1084. I did not favor the idea of being stripped and sold for parts.
Finally, a base of our own. Soon we'll have eyes on every corner of the system. Well done, Captain. I'll have those dismantled. You can never be too careful when moving into someone else's territory. Aside from the automated security, did you meet any resistance at the station? I knew it. They've been shadowing us since Monarch, maybe even longer. I've been less than honest with you. Your assignments weren't strictly about the salvage business. You might have figured that out already. You have an eye for patterns. Good. We need more contractors like you. After the Monarch job, I started connecting the dots. I didn't like the picture. Then what we found at Station 1084 confirmed my fears. You and I have stumbled onto something big. Something none of us were meant to know. Glad to know it, Captain. Ask yourself why a skeleton crew was studying that Alta Vitae gas in secret. Ask yourself why stockpiles were hidden on a planet full of monsters. Before we go any further, I want you to keep an open mind. Can you do that for me, Captain? Aliens. I'm talking about aliens. They're the ones responsible for the deaths at 1084, and who knows what else. We have to put a stop to it. Hear me out. I'm saying it's aliens. I'm not asking you to like it. I'm not even asking you to believe it. But I need to act on this threat to the colony, and I can't do it alone.
Well, at least she doesn't expect us to believe it.
This doesn't feel at all right, Captain.
Your crew is skeptical. That's good. I don't want you walking into the unknown with blindfolds on. I assume you have questions? If we're gonna see this through, I'll need your trust and commitment. Now's the time for setting doubts aside. Conspiracy. One carried out with the help of human collaborators, assuming they haven't all been replaced. This is an invasion of our very cells. That damned gas is mixing our nucleon with halcyon biology to twist us, change us, make us more like those monsters on Monarch. No kidding. That's how they want it. When I lined up the evidence in my spreadsheet, there was only one possible conclusion looking back at me. This is my data talking, not my anxiety or lack of sleep. Sharing my findings took a calculated risk. If you were a spy, I doubt you'd even realize it. Only your cells would know. Tobias, get my knife. The big one. That was a joke. Ha ha. We each get one. Now, back to business. Dr. Chartrand is the crooked psychopath behind the gas experiments. She sold out her species. I need you to put a bullet through her skull. She's a research scientist and a damn good one. Before UDL poached her, she engineered a 0.2% increase in cystipig juiciness. Now she's doing the same thing with humanity. Her fingerprints were all over Station 1084. You saw what she did to her team. It's cute that you'd think that about me. I just want to add Savior of Humanity to my resume. I've got ambitions outside of this office, you know. Besides, this way Sublight gets first dibs on alien salvage. Do you usually come across innocent people trapped in suspension tanks? Because some of us would call that excessive. Remember, the tanks were just the shit she left behind. Just imagine the experiments she carted off to her next lab. We're far beyond theories. Chartrand's logs, the gas, the suspension tanks, how much proof do you need? Wake up, Captain. An invasion needs collaborators working from the shadows. She has access to the board, unlimited funds, and a colony full of sheep. Just think of it as salvaging hope from the smoking wreckage of humanity. This is your initiation into a future with Sublight. Want a steady position in our ranks? Buy one with a bullet. Well, there's your usual fee. What else do you want, a promotion? It's yours. Even better. I'll owe you one. This keycard will get you through the front door of her Byzantium estate. Don't ask how I got it. You might not like the answer. By now, the other side knows what you're doing. Don't trust anything Chartrand says. She's compromised down to the bone. Maybe even deeper than that.
I got no clue what half the junk on this desk is for, except the lamp. Improvised weapon.